Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Cool JDM Show. I'm your host, Derek Weldon. We also have Mike Dennis on the side and Max Schiffler. Actually,
Hello.
your full name, Maximilian.
Yes.
Schiffler.
Soon to be Maximilian.
Schiffler.
From Germany.
Max
Because
is always
from
giving us a
Germany
hard
watching.
time
Hello.
because we don't
Hi.
have a German accent like he does. We don't give him a hard time for not having a New Zealand accent or a Canadian accent, so I'm not sure what it is.
Sure.
No, I don't know. Maybe I should speak like this the whole show.
Duh.
No, I won't.
No, that was the wrong language. Whoops.
So in today's show, coming straight out of the Pacific Coast Auto Studios here in Japan. Don't forget, we are in Japan. I think most of the viewers know that, but some people who are clicking on for the first time might not know that. We're going to talk about the Drives Japan channel update. Every time we're going to be talking about that because we want to make sure that you guys know about it and that you like and subscribe. We're also going to be talking about a huge segment today about the history of K cars.
Ooh,
a lot of you
boy.
guys know about them. Some of you don't know about them, but most people don't know about the history and what happened with these cars in the past, the present, and the future. Actually, mostly
gonna talk
just
about
up to the
future?
present. We don't know anything about the future.
Oh, we can. How about that? If we have time at the end, we shall dabble in a bit of future predictions.
Right.
We could
That could be
ask
fun.
AI to do one of those fake.
We already had people shouting at us for using AI as part of our topics.
Yeah,
No, that's true.
cool to see where everyone's tuning in from. That seems to be a theme today, to say where you're from. So
Hello from Germany. Yes.
Yeah,
Max,
I
you can
just-
say
I was
something in
just-
German and only that dude and you will know what we're talking about.
and we got another Kiwi there too. That's cool. Not often that we see someone from New Zealand.
Right. Yeah, New Zealand has a weird time zone because most people are working during this time, right?
Yeah,
Cool. All these people, they're supposed to be working or actually, just
keep
live
doing
streaming
what
on the
you're
side.
doing. Keep watching the show.
We are also going to show a couple of K cars for sale here in Japan. We got one dealer pick and one auction pick. I picked fewer cars this time because last show was an epic car pick show. And then this time it's we're going to be talking about K cars a lot, so we can't
Cool.
talk too much about cars. And then, of course, as usual, if you have questions for us, we have an open segment at the end for questions. We will answer them. We will probably answer them correctly.
Probably.
Okay, so why don't we jump right into it for the first segment? Y'all ready for that reverb?
Yes.
This is This Week at PCA, which is an abbreviation of Pacific Coast Auto. All rights reserved.
Copyright. Patented.
Actually, we aren't copyrighted.
Okay.
Somebody else could start a company called Pacific Coast Auto if they wanted.
do that.
So this is the third week talking about this. We want to thank you for all the reviews that you sent in, the Google reviews on the Google Maps. You go to Google Maps and you type in Pacific Coast Auto, and now there are a bunch of people that told us nice things. There are even more every week. So thank you for
High
those.
quality reviews.
Extremely high quality reviews.
very
I'm not only
impressed.
saying that because I
Yeah.
want more reviews, which I do,
No, it was
but the
just
quality of
impressive.
them were
Yeah.
very impressive.
Yeah.
Speaking completely honestly, the amount of effort people put into them and the
Do you want
The
a
nice
little
things.
side note?
I always do.
I used to drink too much. Used to get drunk,
Used to.
and then not anymore. I actually stopped. And then my phone would be like, "You were recently at this place. Would you like to write a review?" So I'd be blind drunk, and I'd just be like, "Sure." And I would just get drunk and write Google reviews, and I don't really know why. And I would wake up the next morning, and then I would be like, "How do I have like 100 reviews on places?"
Is there any way that we can get that as a segment for next week's show? Mike's
Show
drunk,
my Google reviews?
Mike's
Reading
drunk
Mike's
Google reviews.
Probably.
I have a feeling like they're pretty funny. Did you make anything up on the spot?
All of them. It would just be like, because Google will just keep going. It'll be like, okay, you've reviewed one place, do more. And it would just do that. And I'd be sitting there going like, okay, review. They're all really short. Some of them are.
So I know what you're like when you're drunk. You tend to become pretty funny. Are your Google reviews funny?
I'm not sure. I honestly, because I don't remember them. So, but I got like a 3 or 4 star rating on Google from the amount of places that I reviewed.
Like Google thinks you're a good reviewer.
I think so. It's like a local guide or something. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm qualified.
Where
for
was
that
this? Was this in New Zealand?
No,
or
this was in
it
Japan.
Cool?
So there's a whole bunch of Japanese places that have random English reviews from me being like, nice. Yeah.
With lots of spelling mistakes.
Yeah.
Did someone in the questions section have a question about what they should do in Japan? Yeah, they did. So someone in the questions section wanted to know something about what you should do on holiday here. We'll get to that in the Q&A, but because you are a
Local guide.
local guide,
yeah.
you can probably fill him in on that.
Tons of advice.
I love that. Okay, for the Drives Japan, let's flip that onto the screen. We told you that we're going to have a video for you, and we very closely came to being honest about that.
We lied, but it was close to being true.
We had planned on posting the video several times ago, but it didn't come together. Now the video is done, and we're just working on the thumbnail. That's right, Max?
Yeah, that is correct.
So
I was hoping to upload it yesterday evening, but
a
multiple errors on my end.
It's just if you don't want to push it and then regret what you posted, right?
Yeah.
And the thumbnail, for any of you who are content creators, you probably know this, the thumbnail is worth at least half of your effort in the videos, because if people aren't clicking on that thumbnail, the
video won't get in front of people.
Maybe not half the effort, half the importance. Because if the video sucks, nobody's going to watch it.
Yeah.
But if the thumbnail sucks, nobody's going to click on it. So yeah, you want to have good for both. And that video is what, Max?
It is us driving the Lotus and Derek saying goodbye to the Lotus.
The farewell to the Lotus. And it's worth the wait. You've waited extra long. We've made sure it's worth the wait, right?
You haven't
seen it. So I hope it's worth the wait. I've also been waiting.
I think it's pretty good.
I have seen it through the iterations that we have. Basically, we put together a rough video, and then we see it, and then we think, what should we add to this? And then we add some, we write the voiceover then, and then we put that into the video as a text to speech.
Yeah.
So a robot's talking it, so that we can get all the cuts together, and then we watch that, and then we make improvements, and then we finish the video.
Find a voiceover, and then do more improvements, find a color, find an audio, stuff like that.
Yeah. Make sure that timing's right on the jokes.
And when's that coming out? Next week? This week?
No.
This week? It's out now. Click now.
Are we afraid to say
publish
date?
now? No.
Yeah, it's coming in
Maybe
3,
tonight,
2, 1
maybe.
second. Stop watching the video now and go watch that video.
Soon. It's coming soon to a theater, to a screen near you.
However, we're still making good progress on subscribers, right?
I think so. What's our subscriber? Oh, I want to talk one thing more about that video before we talk about subscribers. I have always struggled with doing the voiceover. I'm the type of person who doesn't have the voiceover type voice. And when we do voiceover, we write the script and we make little edits to it and everything. And then Max and I sit down, and Max is my voice coach at that moment. And so he's like, okay, say this part a little bit like this, or let's try it like this. And I think it's been going really well. And I think for the video that we're about to put up is the best voiceover that we've done so far. I think that especially at the end of the video, the part where I'm saying goodbye to the car, I think that the script is probably the best scripting that I've done so far. You haven't heard it yet. So
I haven't heard anything. I'm getting hyped.
And I think it's the best voiceover that I did. Of course, I'm fairly critical of my own work. So when I watched it, I was like, it's good, but I see a few things that I can nitpick about. But I think for the most part, it's okay. It's starting to feel a little bit more professional.
So if you're watching this video now, and then you watch the Lotus video that comes up very soon, please write a comment rating Derek's voiceover work.
No.
But only if it's a good comment, otherwise you'll crush Derek. Don't crush Derek.
Send an email to me personally about it and see how many people email me. Because we did talk about that with Grant last week, which we'll touch on in a second.
Okay, right.
You got the prime position to do a nice transition to that now.
Not yet. We're going to... So that perfect segue, we're going to put on hold, and we'll come back to that. Our subscribers went from 1,283 to 1,335, an increase of 52 subscribers. Great, because we didn't put a video up in the last week. Usually you get the majority of your subscribers when a video goes up, but 52 subscribers for us, it's good.
Yeah, I'm quite happy.
If one of those 52 people are here watching now, welcome.
So what was it that we talked about last week about Grant? We told people to email Grant. You
told people to email Grant. And Grant was watching.
Yeah. And Mike called it out. Okay, so let's, for anyone who wasn't watching last week, let's set the stage.
So we mentioned that Grant dislikes lifted vehicles and will never own one, and
especially Land Cruisers.
A lot of smack about anything lifted. Unwarranted smack, I might have you. I am a big fan. So so then Derek had the bright idea too. Oh,
is this me? My turn? You're not going to say it, are you?
No. I'm not.
Grant, if you're watching. Actually, Grant's behind us, isn't he?
He is. He's hearing. He's listening. Grant's back, by the way.
Grant had a couple of weeks off. So he, instead of taking the time off, he was like, yes, I want to go spend more time with my coworkers even when I have the time off, which I think is great. That's definitely going in your report, Grant. Your performance report. Grant watches the show outside of regular time. Anyways, we told we've had this ongoing joke that we're trying to get Grant to buy a Land Cruiser or be interested in Land Cruisers or anything lifted Land Cruiser related, and this has been going on for years. We let the cat out of the bag with our viewers last week, and we said, send Grant a secret email asking him to get a lifted Land Cruiser or just mentioning it or something like that. And then we thought it would be funny because Grant would come back from his holiday and look through the email box and find a ton of Land Cruiser emails. We had one person send him a Land Cruiser email, and thank you so much for making this a reality. It would have been better if there were more, but I suspect a lot of people watching don't know Grant's personal email address because it's not publicly available. So there are only select people who are even able to do it.
That's true. I also think that a lot of people here thought, Grant's just too nice to send him an email like this and convince him to buy a lifted Land Cruiser. Maybe. I don't know.
Mike is Grant's boss, and so it's nice of you to say that. But I'm not Grant's boss. I'm Grant's boss's boss. And so I'm the one that says nice things about this guy.
So do what Derek says.
Schulte says...
Go spam Grant.
Schulte says GG Grant.
And we have an email address for the show, right? What's the email address, Max?
show@pacificcoastjdm.com.
So if you've got news or information or want us to share anything or just want to say, hey, what's up? Then you can use that email address, show@pacificcoastjdm.com. And we had someone email us some pictures of a new viewer that we got. Actually, two new viewers.
What? Oh, I see where you're going with
and
this.
We asked him if we could
person...
share this, and he said yes. So this is one of our viewers. Sent a picture of us, and here he is walking with his BBs and his dog. And then the next picture.
Wait, where's the next picture?
The next picture
is here.
Is out of order, so let's just
there
fix
we
that.
go.
Here's the new viewers, and as you can see on the phone there, there is the cool JDM show. Did you just zoom into that one?
Yes.
Or is that the picture?
Cool.
Well, thank you, viewer, for having a high resolution image so that we can zoom in and prove that it was our show that you were watching.
We could have done the stop there, freeze that frame, enhance.
Yeah.
Now zoom in. Yeah.
There's no mic in that picture though, so
I must have been pulled away for bidding, I think, if that was last week, right? Was it Salika? I don't remember, but
I don't remember either.
Yeah,
I gotta say, we won't say who the viewer is. If you want to say who you are, you can say in chat. We just try to protect your privacy as much as we can. But
right.
Can you go back to the other picture, the first picture?
Yep.
So much style, like cool dad style. Honestly, I think that was a great picture. It was the first time somebody sent in a picture of themselves while they're watching the show. I think it's a super fun idea. I don't know if you got dressed up for that or if you just naturally have that much style, but very cool.
That's one heck of a baby car too. Or what are those called in English? Pram?
Oh, stroller. Yeah.
In Japanese, they call them baby car, which is perfect.
Baby car.
I love that.
Yeah.
One heck of a baby car. It would not fit here in Japan though. We had to sell ours from North America when we moved here because it was just too big.
Right.
It wouldn't work with anything.
Yeah.
People in elevators were like, what are you doing? Your stroller's twice the size.
And it's like a special one for twins too. So I think that's awesome. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was fun to see.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we're ready to jump into the meat and potatoes of the show, and this is something I thought about last night while I was gathering my ideas for the show. I started with one idea, which I thought was pretty good, and it just kind of evolved into, why don't people know enough about this? And so I made my own topic, and I've been working on it from 9 o'clock until 10:30, or 10:45 really. Minutes before the show, I finished this and printed it off. So this is me urgently working. Make sure that you appreciate it because I worked so hard.
Appreciate the urgent work.
I was also urgently working, getting all of this.
I gave Max like 30 pictures for this, like 5 minutes before the show started. So he was, that's why they were out of order there.
And
actually, that first one that you had there, I believe, is still out of order. So
yes,
if there are some images,
I'm just fixing
if there are some
that
images
right now.
out of order, then that's why, and we'll just roll with it. And so this is going to be your chance to become an expert at K-class cars. So most of you guys know about K cars. They are K vans and K trucks are probably the most common ones. K-trucks by far the most common.
Right.
And a lot of our exports, like our number one last year, was K-trucks to the USA. And so here's a picture of a K-truck, as you can see.
Do you want to announce
Actually,
the
you can't
segment?
see it yet. Let's announce the segment first, which I already did.
I was organizing the picture.
No,
so I
you
didn't
need
miss
to
it.
do it again with reverb.
Okay, give me some reverb. Become a K-car expert. Mike, are you a K-car expert? I didn't share any of this with you, so feel free to be the comic relief on the side.
Right.
And,
And
I'm sorry that we didn't have much of a chance to discuss this first.
We usually do like a 30-minute thing before the show where we go over what we're talking about and that kind of thing. We didn't have time to do that today, so it's all on the fly.
Yeah, and
Also with background music.
Let me go turn that off.
can we actually hear that?
Yep.
Oh,
I just noticed it just now, so
yeah, let's turn that off.
that's probably fine.
Okay, so to set the stage with the K cars, let's give you a little bit of an introduction on what a K car is. And so, first off, a K car has to fit into a certain restrictions, government mandated restrictions. It has to be a small size, which I'm not going to say the actual size because that's kind of boring, but micro size, think original Mini would absolutely fit into this size. And then the engine size is maximum of 660cc, so basically 70% of a liter, really tiny. The max is 64 horsepower, but I'll get to that. There's a little caveat on that. And a max 4 passengers for it. You typically get, or at least in the past, have gotten about 50% lower cost of running your car. This is gasoline, of course, because they're fuel efficient. Registration, road tax, and you actually pay a lower tax when you register a car brand new, and I didn't know that.
Oh, okay.
So when you buy a brand new car, there's an extra 3% tax, but for a K car, it's a 2% tax on the cost of the car, so that's lower. Okay, and so a lot of people obviously want to have these cars for a good reason. They are much, much, much cheaper. And so here's a picture now. We'll go right into this K truck. Make sure that we can see that in the background.
Yep.
Are we able to see it? There it is. K truck. Everybody kind of knows them and loves them. And of course, the less popular, but still very popular, especially in Japan, K van, which between the two of them, they are basically cargo vehicles that you'll find everywhere in Japan.
Utility vehicles.
Yeah.
Used by tradesmen and like carpenters, painters, everything.
And for the most part, you don't need to have a parking spot registered for a K car, and this can be a huge benefit. For every other car, anywhere in Japan, you have to register your car to a specific parking spot, and so you have to have enough room for the parking spot. The police have to come and check that to make sure. You have to get a certificate stating that this parking spot fits with this car, and then you can register the car. With a K car,
by the way,
pardon me?
big pain in the butt.
Yeah, it takes a week.
Takes a week. You got to go to the city office. You got to do
You have to have a parking spot
You gotta
or
pay.
rent one. And if you're renting one from someone else, you have to pay like 4 or 5 times the monthly cost of the parking spot just to register for the first time.
You have to prove you have a contract for that spot. It's
Lots of fun.
it's a mess. Yeah.
It's part of being in Japan. The bureaucracy here is intensely enjoyable to a very small portion
Intensely enjoyable.
of the population.
Yeah.
Okay, so many K car owners are commercial users. That's the biggest block of them. After that, it's low income people. And after that, it is people's second car. A lot of people's second cars, like the wife will run around in a K car while they have a bigger car elsewhere for family trips.
Yeah.
The K car is only maximum 4 seats, but barely any families in Japan have more than 2 children. So it fits the lifestyle pretty well. We got another picture, the next one here, of just some other K cars. So the ones we've shown were kind of commercial, but here's here's a...
I was like, that's not a K car. Oh, it's hiding over there, the little
size
guy.
difference. Just to give you an idea, the Challenger, of course, is a bigger sedan, but you can totally see the difference in size.
Do you see the plate that he has on it?
Yes.
It's a custom Japanese style plate.
Yeah,
That's
made to
pretty
look
fun.
like a Japanese plate. This is outside of Japan, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 30% of all cars sold in Japan are K cars at the moment.
30%. Okay.
So you see these everywhere in Japan.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, they're very, very popular.
And can be identified by their yellow plate.
Oh, yes.
Did I skip ahead?
That's okay. Let's
No?
talk about the yellow plate. Show the picture. So license plates are yellow for K cars. All except for some special ones will have a little yellow triangle because they have special designs on them, like the Olympics plates from 2020.
Oh, I didn't realize that they like kept the design, but then still.
They have a little yellow triangle to, yeah. And there are K kind of commercial cargo vehicles also get a black plate with yellow lettering. I didn't show a picture of that because you don't see them that often.
Okay.
But for the most part, yellow plates mean K cars. And in the past, it was a little bit different, and I'll get into that in a second. So K cars, about the power of the K car. So they're itty bitty, usually around 1,000 kilograms. Sometimes a little bit lighter than that. The older ones much lighter than that. Some of the original ones were like 400 kilograms.
Jeez.
And had like chainsaw engines. I'm not even joking. And the 64 horsepower, I didn't know until today, is not a government mandate. The 64, which I have been telling people for years.
Oh.
I did the research, and now I would like to apologize for my misinformation. The 64 is, like the 280 horsepower, a gentleman's agreement so as not to spur a horsepower war with K cars.
Oh, that's a shame.
That is super
So you can
interesting.
have a K car with more power than that.
So then,
But manufacturers aren't doing it.
like the monster kits for the cappuccinos and stuff. I always thought you would need to change from K car to normal car if you go over 64.
You don't. There is no horsepower limit at all.
I did not know
Registered
that.
one.
I'm looking up cappuccinos again.
Now you, Mike and Max, and all of our viewers can be smarter than all of your friends. You can bring this up at parties. This is the reason why you're watching the show, right?
Oh, a comment from Dark Corsair says a Hayabusa engine in a cappuccino, and that would it still has to be under 660 cc's.
Hayabusa engine is 1.3, right?
Yeah.
But there are some engines that are smaller that are well more powerful.
Yeah,
than the
you could
K
put
car
a
ones.
600 cc motorcycle engine in.
And how much power do you usually get out of one of those? Like 90 or 100?
Yeah, around that. But I think you're probably better off just turbocharging a.
Yeah. But you would
A
get the
different
sequential shifting.
True. I'm a huge fan. I would love it. I would love a K car with a motorcycle engine, but I think you have to do around 1,000.
The origin of the K car started with motorcycle engines.
Aha.
So I'll get into that. Right before I mentioned that generally current K cars are capable of going 140 kilometers an hour.
Is that a rule or?
No, this again is a gentleman's agreement, but it
Okay.
is what everyone has pseudo agreed on. 140 kilometers an hour is good. A ton of people think that because of the smaller engine, they're not going to keep up with highway speeds in other countries. For the most part, they can. If you
Yeah.
get some of the older ones, probably not. Okay, so let's go through the history of the K cars, and I've sorted this into kind of 4 blocks of different eras of the K cars. So we'll start with the first one. The K car regulations came in right after World War II. It was 1949, and like so many other countries at the time, the Japanese government wanted to motorize the country. This helps economically with making more cars, and because going from the era of motorcycles, bicycles, horses into the era of cars can be expensive, the government wanted to have super cheap cars. This is the reason we got cars like the Fiat 500 in Italy or the Volkswagen Beetle in Germany. It's because these were economic decisions made to motorize the country and to, how can I say this?
To get people in cars instead of off horses and onto cars, right?
And it's huge economically, right?
Yeah.
Starting these plants that build cars and whatnot.
Yeah.
Very good. This era only lasted from 1949 to 1955, and it was a bit of a test era for the K cars. There were very, very few K cars, and none of them were mass produced during this time because manufacturers weren't ready. Right after the war, they weren't really ready to take on this, and in order to sell something for the price point that they wanted to hit, it would have to be mass produced, and they didn't know if there was a market for them or not. So most of the time what they did is they took motorcycle engines, usually 100cc or 150cc, which at the time was the max, and then put them into pseudo cars that were hand built. They tended to be a lot more expensive than what the government wanted. The government set the mandate as we want the cars to cost 150,000 yen, which in today's era is about $8,000 to $9,000. So very, very low unless you've got the economies of scale. They also said that it should be able to go 100 kilometers an hour and it should have 4 seats. Those were the 3 main points of the K car class. They also said it had to, well, with such a small engine, it would have to be small. They also had size requirements of them at the time as well.
Right.
I couldn't find out what they were. And the reason, they basically floundered, and it wasn't a very popular regulation until things changed for the next era. it was basically junky vehicles that I couldn't find much information about because it was a very, very long time ago, and the internet only goes back so far.
Yeah. I didn't make very many either by the sounds of it, nor were they that successful. But
Right. The first mass-produced ones were only made like 1 or 2 a month.
wow.
And those were the first mass-produced ones, too.
This is also a long time ago, though, so...
Yeah, that's true. When did the
Model T? Were you just thinking that?
Yeah, the Model T is from the 20s, right?
Right.
And that was like a assembly line.
Right, so I'm wondering, like...
they invented the assembly line. So at this time, that might not have become a thing in Japan yet.
Right.
It was probably just a workshop that they hand-built stuff, and they were like, where do I get the fenders from?
Yeah.
Oh, they're in the warehouse. You know?
It was also post-war, so building the country up again, big part.
Right. So what I would consider the original K-car era is when they changed regulations to make them more popular to become built. And so this era goes from 1955 to 1976, so a 20-year span there. They upped the size of the engines to 360cc, so that's more than double in most cases. And that allowed them to have roughly about 18 horsepower, which doesn't sound like a lot. Most of these engines were air-cooled, 2-stroke engines. And there were no turbochargers or anything. The very first K car, and we've got an image for this one, was in 1955 with the Suzuki Suzu Light. This car is a little bit remarkable because, for one, it was very close to mini size. It was a car that you could actually live with. And it was generally really expensive, so it didn't sell very many.
That's sad.
But it's Suzuki going out on a limb and trying something.
Yeah.
It looks really neat, and I got a few interesting points to go along with this one. So this is the first mass-produced K car, 1955 Suzu Light. The original one was not 360cc, actually. They upgraded to a 360cc engine after the first year because the first engine was junky, and I guess they were just using that to build the rest of the car around while they were building the engine at the beginning. Once they had the 360cc engine, they had 16 horsepower to begin with, and they upped it to 18 a little bit later. The car is 300 centimeters long, 130 centimeters wide, and 140 centimeters tall. So to put... Sorry?
It looks narrow, but it looks quite long.
Shorter than an original Mini. This picture doesn't put it into perspective very well. This is much smaller than the current K cars. Like 80% the size of the current K cars, especially in width. Like 130 centimeters wide.
That's
my shoulder to your shoulder.
I think it's less. No?
Can you get the tape measure over there, Max? We're going to do a little tape measure check to see how wide. 130 centimeters wide on the outside.
Yeah. That's... Your Lotus was like very cozy.
No, you gotta come behind us and measure between our shoulders.
Whoa.
Hi guys.
Hi.
130.
Shoulder to shoulder.
I thought you were saying hi to us.
Could Derek and Mike fit in one of the...
130 is not that bad.
But that's the outside of the car.
Outside,
Yeah. Okay, so an extra little bit on that side.
So it's wider than the screen? Yeah, it is.
Okay, so compared to the original Mini, it's 6 centimeters shorter, 10 centimeters narrower than the original Mini, and 3 centimeters taller.
Is this not the design to me, and I could be wrong here, Morris Minor?
It looks very much like it.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I was misremembering the Morris Minor, but it looks like Japan was like, we'll make one of those.
They were benchmarking another car from Europe at the time, which was also a front-engine car, but I can't remember the name of it, and I didn't write it down. But that's another thing. 1955 front engine was not really a thing. Front engine transverse mounted. Everyone in the world that knows about the Mini is like, oh, the Mini, they switched up the game by not making it rear-wheel drive. But this came 4 years before the original Mini. So it wasn't the first either, but it's still interesting to think. And then also, at the time that this came out, the smallest tire you could buy in Japan was a 16-inch. Because wheels used to be big, because roads used to be bad. Yeah. Right? And then it's funny to think that wheels went smaller, smaller, smaller every decade, And then they went bigger, bigger, bigger every decade now.
Yeah.
Quite interesting, isn't it? And so they had to have manufacturers of tires start making 14-inch in order to make the car. If you want small cars, you need small wheels to go along with them. The original Mini had 10-inch, and that again needed to be special made for the Mini at the time. And so in the first few months, they could only build 3 to 4 cars per month. And by 1956, the following year, they were up to 30 cars per month.
Oh.
Now we're doing tens of thousands of cars per month with every car manufacturer. So it's a different time, right?
Yeah.
Like Europe used to have so many car manufacturers, like over 100 in England. And then they all just died off because you can't just make cars in a garage anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any large factories and...
So in this era of K cars, by the time we reached 1970, which is now 15 years after the beginning of this car, they were up to about 10,000 cars per year. That's the appetite for K cars at the time. We also have a few other advancements at the time. We're going to show the next picture here. And all of them had manual transmissions until 1968, when Honda came out with the N360, which is a K car that a lot of people know. It's well regarded, and it basically is the beginnings of the Civic, right? This was arguably a similar style of hatchback as we'll see throughout the 70s.
That, I gotta say, the styling with the... I think we talked about this before when you were showing your Corolla. I love the styling of the hood coming down in the middle and then having like... curved surrounds for the lights or square surrounds, whatever. That hood line being lower than the top of the headlights looks so cool to me.
This image I took from the Honda website. These were advertising of the car back in 1968 is what your advertising looked like.
Advertising to a girl who looks like she enjoys French style.
Yeah, look, they painted the underside of the car. You see that?
I was thinking how they did that with the shadow.
This is from the Honda website. It's made to look like it's from the 60s. It's not exactly what your ads in the 60s would be.
Okay.
Right?
Oh yeah, they cut out here and then fake shadow.
But a painted fake shadow as well.
Yeah.
Kind of cool, right?
Looks like watercolor or something. Is that what you mean? Like to go with the style? Yeah.
And then at this time, during this era, your max speed of the K cars were limited just like the 50cc scooters are now in Japan. And you could only go 40 kilometers an hour. Now, that was...
So when the government initiative at first was that they should go 100 kilometers an hour.
They should be capable of 100 kilometers an hour, but they're regulated to 40 kilometers an hour in the cities.
Okay. Just in the cities.
I think at this time there was no speed limit regulation outside of the metropolitan areas.
Right.
I could be wrong about that. I couldn't find anything confirming one way or another.
Oh man, can you imagine the horrific crashes if people get up to 100 kilometers an hour outside the city on dirt roads?
500 kilometer cars. Yeah, like during the 60s there wouldn't have been mass interstates. Right?
No, yeah.
There would have been some, but not very dynamic. There would have been dirt roads to get from place to place. Yeah. Hence why the wheels were bigger back then. You needed the bigger wheels because roads just weren't like they are nowadays.
And Japan being so mountainous, geez, the amount of people that must have been getting stuck.
Right.
Crazy.
That's why four-wheel drive K cars became a thing pretty quickly. I didn't find out which was the first four-wheel drive car, but by the 70s, many of them came as four-wheel drive as an option. And so the 1960s, they upped the max speed limit of these cars to 60 kilometers an hour, which is more reasonable. And now we'll talk about a few popular K cars. So I got some pictures here. We'll just quickly go through these. There's this Honda Life step van. We've exported one of these.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
There's a Honda right now that has retro styling to look like this. Yeah. It's pretty cool when they do that.
Yeah, I like it.
And the next one, Daihatsu Midget.
Oh, this is like the first midget.
Yeah, if you've watched Totoro, they move from the city to the countryside in a midget.
I didn't know it was a midget. I was just like, wait, where do they all sit?
If you watch it, it's completely unrealistic. They're hiding underneath a desk in the back, but there's no room for two kids underneath a desk in the back of a midget.
And then mom and dad are in the front? Because that
no,
looks
only
suspicious.
the dad.
Oh.
The mom was in the hospital. She was sick, but they don't explain what she was sick with.
Yeah.
Okay, next picture.
Next, Subaru 360. This one here, probably, this and the N360, the Honda, are probably the most well-regarded of all of the first, what I consider the first generation of the K cars.
I wonder where they got the styling cues of this one from.
Fiat 500?
But the windows look like Beetle to me.
Sure, yeah.
If
like
you
a
cover
mix
the
of
lower
both.
part, could be Beetle.
Yeah.
The door of this one also opens suicide style.
Oh.
Do you know why that has not become a thing? The suicide
Why?
doors? Because if you open the door and a car comes from behind you, hits the
Yeah.
door, it will close on you and
Yeah.
just cut off whatever is outside.
Cut
the
off
car.
limbs and appendages and things.
Yeah, wow. I never thought about that. I always thought that, like, maybe this could be me being childish in the head, but I always thought that, like, if you're being kidnapped and somebody's trying to drive you around and you want to get out of the car while it's moving, you can open the door and fall out, right? But with the suicide doors, you wouldn't really be able to do that, right? If the door were open
Yeah.
and you tried to fall out, you'd get hit by the door
Yeah.
immediately.
I believe I heard the same thing as what Max said. That's why suicide doors
Also,
were.
If you open the door while the car's driving, the wind will just catch it. And
That's another thing.
Oh, yeah.
For aerodynamics.
You
Well,
can
not
still get through
aerodynamics,
Subaru 360s in Japan. They are a car that is restored fairly often, but get ready to customize parts because
Yeah.
parts are going to be an issue with these. And then the next one is the Suzuki Jimny. Everyone knows the Jimny. This is what the first generation ones looked like. They started in 1970 was the first year for them. So they barely made the era. Now
They look quite muscular here.
right? I love this generation. We've sold a few of them. You can get them in two-stroke. Actually, this is the era where most of the engines were two-stroke. And we'll get more into that for the next era. Now, in the early 70s, they started restricting emissions, hence why two-strokes started going away. They were still possible, but it was pretty hard to reach emissions during the 1970s. And so there was a change in that, but K cars during this era became very popular. I said 1968, there were 10,000 made a year. Within 2 years of that, there were 750,000 of them made a year.
Jeez.
So from 10,000 in 1968 to 750,000 in 1970.
That's impressive.
Right?
Like,
That's Japan getting their stuff together.
yeah, but rapid style.
Right.
Goodness.
Okay.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going from like, well, I guess
It was like an arms
electric
race,
cars were
right?
kinda
To
like
try
that
to
too.
establish yourself after the war as being a giant in manufacturing. And so tons and tons and tons of these cars were made. 750,000 in 1970.
I wonder if this ties into what we were seeing the other week with the early alliance of Subaru and some of the other big manufacturers, where they came together to make like a enormous company.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to get into that still. That's very
Yeah.
interesting to me. So the next era after that is the 1976 to 1990. This had a big issue because of the emissions, which we'll get into. But this is the era where K cars became extremely popular. A lot of our favorite K cars either come from this era or the next era. It was where fuel injection started becoming a thing, and turbocharged, and four-wheel drive cars, and hot hatch performance cars. Up until this point, it was mostly utilitarian cars, and very rarely was it anything somebody would aspire to have. Now young people could get into something and have fun and have a fast, racy car, whereas previously it was just like a farm vehicle, basically.
Yeah.
And so this era, due to the popularity of the K cars, they drastically reduced the tax relief that you would get on it. They cut or raised taxes by about 50% for the K cars, because they were like, K cars are becoming more popular than regular cars, and we can't sell these K cars to countries outside of Japan because they just don't fit what other countries want.
Yeah.
So we want to have our K cars more modernized. And so they started off by there was a little bit of an issue with emissions here. So a lot of the manufacturers were like, we can't hit the new emission standards with the smaller 360cc engines. If we do that, the engines just aren't going to be fast enough for the cars, and this is a problem. So there was a big push from the manufacturers to try to push the government up to larger engines, which they were successful for. And they saw that coming, so a lot of these manufacturers started making bigger engines. And the whole time they were pushing for 500cc, 500cc, 500cc. And then these manufacturers started making 500cc engines in anticipation, because the government's like, okay, we're going to do this. We're just working out the details and everything. And then the government comes back and says, congratulations, we're upping the engine size to 550 cc. Meanwhile, all the manufacturers had 500cc engines ready to go. So they started selling those for about 6 months and then panicking and making a bigger engine. Because if you're selling a car and yours has 500cc and the one next to you has 550, everyone's going to go for the one with the maximum size engine.
Yeah.
This is why K cars pretty much always have the exact same engine size, because nobody wants the one that is the sucky one, right? And so the only
easier for emissions and whatnot, right? So you max it out.
Right. Having the max size is oddly easier to get good emissions because you don't have to make the engine as like, this is older technology, but your engine could be easier to get past emissions when the size was bigger at that moment. Yeah. So oddly, there was only one manufacturer that had a 550cc engine ready to go, and that was Daihatsu. And it makes me wonder, Daihatsu is owned by Toyota, so they are Toyota, the biggest of all the manufacturers. And I wonder if they did a little secret government push. Yeah, like, here's some yens. Please make it 550, and we'll have the engine ready to go. So they were the only ones who had the engine ready to go, while everyone else was like, what?
Sneaky.
What? Up until a month ago, we thought it would be 500.
Don't give us more than we asked for.
And so because of the regulation change and because of that mix-up, there was actually a dire decrease in the amount of K cars that were sold. And I got the details here, but I've got a wall of text, so I'm going to have to find this. So think of something funny and clever to say while I'm reading this.
I think it's so interesting that trying to think of the words. I can't think of anything.
You also got the comments to go through.
Oh, let's go through some comments. Someone did say the tooling costs. Like, can you imagine spending all of that money in design and manufacturing and everything, being like, we're banking on a 500cc engine, and then, just kidding.
And nowadays, engines are made to have different sizes. Like they'll have engines from 1 liter to 1.6 liter is very common. The engine will be like, okay, we'll make this, and then we'll have these different sizes to put into different cars. But back then, it would have been like the K car engine, not meant to be changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember I said 750,000 in 1970? Now down to 150,000 in 1975.
Wow.
So a huge decrease.
Well, okay, but that's higher taxes, the laws changing. I guess the higher taxes would probably
be
the
not many
main
models,
thing, right?
And people are like, well, if regulations are changing, maybe I'll wait for the regulations to change before I buy mine.
Yeah, true.
Right? So that was an 80% decrease in sales. Could you imagine if any sort of government regulation decreases a market by 80% in a year?
Yeah.
Oh, I can. Right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very very topical right now with EVs and AI.
Didn't Tesla lose 80% of sales in Europe or something like that?
Yeah. I was gonna say 100, but I think for some countries it was 100%. Yeah.
Okay, and so 6 years after that, so 6 years after the new regulations came in, K cars became even more popular, and by 1981 they sold to the peak of 1.2 million K cars sold in 1 year.
Wow.
And so it's like, wow, roller coaster sales.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting. At this time was when K cars started being exported to countries around the world, and Europe was taking 17% of all the K cars, which is something I didn't know. In Canada and the US, we never got any K cars, but Europe got some K trucks. They got the Cappuccino and some other K cars. I don't know all of them because I didn't come from Europe, but
the Cappuccino was only sold in the UK as like a special version. But for the rest, I don't know.
I think the Cappuccino also came with a slightly bigger engine in Europe.
No,
it's
completely same.
I know some of the K cars got 1,000cc engines because there wasn't
the Copen.
The Copen got that?
Got a different engine, yeah.
And I've seen K trucks with like 1 liter, 1.1, 1.3 in lots of Asia as well.
Yeah.
So they'll take the Japanese version of the K truck, put a bigger engine in it for export markets.
It makes total sense. I just wonder like what kind of markets were taking these vehicles, because the UK had a lot of vehicle production. Germany had a lot of vehicle production. I'm imagining like the more quaint places like Italy, Romania, or France. Well,
you could see K trucks in Italy, Spain, Portugal,
those kind of countries.
I don't know.
Do we have viewers from these countries?
I'm sorry. I've never seen K trucks in Germany.
No, I don't think they would fit the infrastructure and everything, right? Like, you want vehicles that can that are bigger and go faster, yeah. And then I was thinking Romania, did they get a lot of like Soviet influence?
I honestly don't know anything about Romania, so
me neither.
Yeah.
if we have anyone from that part of the world, I would love to know if you have any history details about it.
This was the era that Honda bought Rover as well.
Oh.
I have a theory that Honda bought Rover to start selling the Minis as K vehicles, but they could never figure it out to get an engine that would work with the Minis. Minis became super popular in Japan as a style piece, and I think like the number one country in the world is probably the UK, but I'm sure Japan was the number 2 country for the Minis.
Yeah.
Okay, now in 1980, the speed limits for the K cars was up to 80 kilometers an hour, and this is when we started getting the chime. If you started going over 80 kilometers an hour, and in regular cars, 100 kilometers an hour, your car would go ding, ding. Repeat that
So annoying.
until you started driving slower than 80 kilometers an hour. And the K cars, that was a mandate. I don't know if they were for larger cars if it was mandated. A lot of people went to the shop and got it removed because it's annoying.
Yep.
So a lot of 80s cars that originally came with it won't have it. We've exported a few that had them. They're very annoying. But at the same time, a lot of people are like, wow, so JDM, it's cool. It's something to show their friends.
Yeah.
But you drive on the highway in any other country and you're going over that speed, so it is annoying. And then in 1975, which was in this era, the plates went from motorcycle size plates to full vehicle size plates.
Okay.
And that's when they became yellow.
Aha.
So the yellow plates came in 1975. Popular cars of this era. Honda today.
Wait.
I'll just
There we
repeat
go.
it. Honda today. Honda
Yep.
today.
There's a Honda today.
Today, there's a Honda.
There it
Honda
is.
Today.
Today.
So the Honda today obviously takes the N360 as influence.
So cool.
Yeah,
Sorry.
these
I just
things are
blurted that
incredible.
out.
In this era, they went from carbureted to fuel injected at the end of the era, and still kind of popular and revered today.
We had one for a short period of time, didn't we?
Yeah, we had
Not
a
one of
90s version,
Yeah.
which was awesome, but overheated while we were racing it.
Yeah.
So had to go. Next one, Suzuki Mighty Boy. One of the coolest names of any car ever.
Yeah.
It also looks pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Like the proportions of it are pretty good.
Oh, just subtly with that hood line that goes slightly
Yeah.
below.
And it has a truck back end. So this was sold as a utilitarian vehicle. Front wheel drive, 360cc engine.
Were these the ones? Oh no, I'm thinking of the Subaru.
The Brat, right?
Yeah.
With the seats in the back.
Yeah.
Similar, right? Next one, Suzuki Alto Works. Probably my favorite of this era.
Yes.
It's very 80s, isn't it?
You get a good idea of how small these were when you see someone
look at the dude in
inside one. It looks like one of those mini cars that they make for like Red Bull hill racing and stuff. Where
Yeah, this one you can get in 4-wheel drive and of course turbocharged 550cc. I think they had something like 58 horsepower. They couldn't get up to the like higher horsepowers than that.
oh,
So the cap didn't really come on until later when it was like, okay, now it's easy to get over 64
Yeah.
horsepower. I think you got like 55 or 57 or 58 on these ones. Next one, Mitsubishi Dangan ZZ.
That
Whoa.
looks so cool.
This one is famous because most K cars are 3 cylinders with 2 or 3 valves per cylinder. This one was a 4-cylinder with 5 valves per cylinder.
God damn.
Right, in the 80s.
jeez.
We barely
With
have any 5-valve per cylinder engines now,
How small are the valves?
right?
Like
They're probably finger size
fingernail?
because the pistons are only like that big,
Yeah.
right? And then the next one,
That looks so much more modern. I guess it's because of the aero and everything, but
I couldn't get a good picture of this one because I didn't have much time, so I was just like grabbing all the pictures.
yeah.
But the Suzuki Jimny. So this is going to become a trend because it has been one of the most popular K cars all throughout its life. Suzuki Jimny.
I don't know what it is about them, but every time I see them, I'm like, they're so cool. I don't know. I don't get it. Like every iteration of the Jimny is cool.
Yeah, they're incredible cars. Very capable off-road.
Yeah.
Robust, reliable, prone to rusting.
There's a question on this topic. Dark Corsair said, was the Samurai a K car?
Good point. So the Samurai is a version of the Suzuki Jimny, but it has a bigger engine and wider over fenders, so it is slightly bigger, but the same basic body.
Yeah.
And they sold those in Japan as well as the Jimny Sierra.
But they weren't K cars.
And they weren't very popular because you would
Yeah.
pay double the taxes for them,
Yeah.
and they're only slightly faster.
Yeah. You have to go through all the rigmarole of a normal vehicle, which kind of defeats the purpose of a K car.
You can get these 550cc carbureted, 660cc carbureted, and 660cc single point fuel injected.
Max is giving us a time warning.
I want to talk about this, Max. This is interesting to me. That's why we do the show. The next era, from 1990 until 2014, is the era that most people really like. There's not a lot to talk about in this era. Engine sizes were up to 660cc now, and this was a push from the manufacturers again to try to get them to be a little bit bigger. Size of the vehicle was up to just by a little bit. I think it's like 6 centimeters bigger or 10 centimeters longer width. Okay. And I don't think there's a cap on the height actually of K cars. It's just whatever you can do that's reasonable.
That makes sense because you see those K trucks with those giant green tents on them. I'm always like
blow over in a windstorm.
100%.
Oh yeah, 10 centimeter increase in length was the only change, and mostly that was due to crash standards because that was becoming a thing. I would think all K cars are. Crash standards are an afterthought.
Yeah.
Considering the size, there's only so much that you can do. And you're so much lighter than everything else on the road. So even if it's the best crash standards in the world, you're still getting knocked on the other side of the road.
Yeah. Every time I get in a K truck, I get that feeling like one small bump and my legs are just gone.
Yeah.
When they changed the engine size to 660cc, it only took 5 months for every manufacturer to change from 550 to 660, so they were ready for it this time.
They probably gave them warning this time. We're like, hey, the regulations are actually going to be this, so do it now, and we won't screw you like we did last time. Sorry.
And of this era, the most popular K car was the Suzuki Wagon R, which we'll show the picture of right now. How was the timing for that? Was it good?
That was good, yeah.
Okay. And they also came in a sports version called the Wagon RRR. It was the RR version of the Wagon R. So it's the Wagon RRR. It's the pirate version of the car. This is not the pirate version. This is just the regular version. Okay. And this was the first era that had K cars that were not Japanese made. The Smart 4.2. They made a little bit narrower by changing the over fenders, and they put in a smaller engine made by Suzuki in order to pass K car regulations. We don't have a picture of it, but everyone knows what a 4.2 looks like. And also, this is a little bit baffling, the first ever and only ever K car that had more than 64 horsepower, which is the Caterham 7, classifies
as a K car
as long as the engine's small enough. So it again has a Suzuki engine put into it in order to become a K car.
I have a very interesting story to tell.
Did you wait? Before you said that, you pointed to the clock.
No, I was just like,
oh,
raise my hand. Okay.
Yes, Max.
The original Smart car was initially designed to be a K car sold in Japan.
Was it?
Yes, but it was also planned to sell that in Europe. And for Europe to make a car legal, you need to go through the ELK test.
Like the tipping?
The tipping test. And it failed it. So they needed to make it wider, which placed it outside of the K car classification.
Wow.
And now that's the most funny story. A friend of mine, he bought a Suzuki Alto Works in Germany, which was actually the test mule for the Smart.
Oh.
So they bought that, imported that in like the late 90s to check that. It has, back then I think it was owned by Volkswagen, and they did like a collaborative thing. Had Volkswagen electronics in it, Volkswagen seat belts, everything.
Wow.
That's epic.
Really, really
You should get your friend to send some pictures. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cool. Was it like, at that time, was that car sold in Germany, or was that the only one?
The only one.
Wow.
The test mule.
The test mule, yeah.
Wow, that's remarkable.
Yeah, gosh, can't sell that now.
No.
Okay, and this era also got the first electric K car, which is the Mitsubishi Maev. We've got a picture of that.
Oh.
These were sold in North America too, so people might know about them.
Really?
Yes.
Europe too, yeah.
Oh. I was going to mention that they're coming up to be legally importable soon.
Yeah, they started in, I believe, 2009. First ever electric K car. Now electric K cars are not very popular, but you see them every once in a while. Mitsubishi and Nissan both have one.
Nissan Sakura, I think, is the most recent one.
Yeah, it's fairly popular, it seems.
70-kilometer range. Yeah.
Okay, popular cars of this era. You guys know these ones. Suzuki Cappuccino.
Woo!
One of the only rear-wheel drive. There are four 4 that I can think of at the moment. Rear-wheel drive K cars. Rear-wheel drive takes up more space, so obviously space is at premium for these, and front-wheel drive makes more sense.
Isn't it the only FR layout K car?
It might be
I think all of the other ones are rear
mid-engine. Yeah,
mid or rear engine.
yeah.
Next one.
Oh yeah.
Next one, Honda Beat. So all of these are 64 horsepower, all come in manual transmissions for these sporty ones. And there was a little bit of a battle. There was the Beat, Cappuccino, and some of these other cars were battling for supremacy in this sports car market. Next one, the Suzuki AZ1.
Someone said it right at the beginning that they were holding out to until this was mentioned. So here you are.
Also, there's a version of this made by Mazda, because Mazda and Suzuki were working together and still are on their K cars, called the Mazda Suzuki Kara and Mazda AZ1. Pardon me.
That's right.
It was a car made by Suzuki, but the Mazda version of it was more popular, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know who made it first. I've always just known it as the Mazda.
I got that wrong. Suzuki Kara, Mazda AutoZam AZ1. Thank you, Grant. We'll have Grant on the show one time.
Yeah.
I just have to swallow my pride in being wrong before I allow him on.
Yeah. And that'll take some time. So
Never.
yeah.
I got a picture of the K-trim just in case you're interested.
Yes.
That is not.
That is not the K-trim. This is the Alto Works.
That is the one that my friend has.
Here's the K-trim.
So I see a ton of these. I had no idea that they were supposed to be K cars.
Most of them aren't. They sold a very small amount of them with the smaller engine. Usually they come with like a 1950s tech engine called the Ford Kent engine, which is also the Pinto engine, and up to 1.6 liters. So they're usually a 1.6 liter inline 4-cylinder twin cam with a Lotus head on them Ford Kent engine. But this one is 80 horsepower, so you got an additional 16 horsepower.
That's cool. I kind of want
this
the
one.
K car one.
So they are not Japanese, so they did not have the gentleman's agreement. And so they were like, we do what we want using a Suzuki engine. Probably the same engine as the Cappuccino.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to drive one of these next to the Cappuccino and see how different they are.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a K car one at auction?
I haven't been looking, so...
Yeah. I'm very intrigued.
I saw the most recent one at Tokyo Auto Salon. And it was also the K version. So they still make new ones.
They do?
And sell them. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because the Smart car only sold for, I think, 4 years or something before they stopped making it as a K car. I read about that this morning.
Smart dealership up the road. I swear nothing ever changes in that store.
I think
Like
they're going out.
abandoned.
No, I think they're that one's available.
Oh.
They're moving out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Bye.
Buy smart cars.
Yeah, that shop looks like it's in disrepair.
Yeah, well, you can't afford upgrades if you're not selling any cars. And who's buying a K car?
For sure. I'm just
not a K car. Who's buying a Smart 4.2 now?
I'm
they
surprised
did not
they
make
lasted.
smart decisions. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And last for this era, the Suzuki Jimny.
It is not the Jimny.
That's not the Jimny. That one is the TRXX version of the Daihatsu Mira, popularized by Mighty Car Mods, probably.
Oh.
Well, outside of Japan, popularized by it. And this is what the Jimny looks like.
Love it.
I put that image in, but I didn't put it on my list.
Cool.
Oh no, I put it on my list and I've been reading the wrong list. I just saw Suzuki Jimny. You'll see another Jimny come up. This one here is the Sierra version, so it's the wider one. You can see the over fenders, but that's basically what it looks like.
Just one I want.
Okay, and last for the K-car eras is the 2014 until now. These are the current regulations, and they haven't changed since 2014. At this time, there was a 50% increase in the taxes again.
Wow.
So
in the 90s? No,
2014. There was an increase. I didn't know this because I don't pay attention to newer cars, but yes, it is currently approximately a 30% decrease compared to a regular Super Mini, like a 1 liter Vitz or something like that. So it's still a reasonably cheap car to have and still reason to buy them. And K cars are as popular as ever. Like I said, 30% of them, of all cars sold, are K cars. And then
the regulations stayed the same with sizes and not having to have a parking spot and all that, right?
Yes, for the parking spot, but the parking spot is not in all areas of Japan. There are some areas where they say they need a parking spot, but I couldn't get good information about where those are.
Interesting.
So it's not universal throughout all Japan. Okay, so by this time, some companies became good at selling K cars, and some of them were like, it's too much effort for the amount that we sell. So it all consolidated. And by this time, there's only 4 manufacturers that actually make K cars. and then the other makers badge engineer one of the K cars into their own version of it. So the 4 makers, the most popular one is Suzuki, second most popular is Daihatsu, and then Honda, and then Nissan and Mitsubishi joined together, and all of their cars are based off of the same actually they're not a badge engineer, they are working together on the same team in order to make the K cars themselves. So there will be Nissan and Mitsubishi versions of the same cars that are styled completely differently. Just sort of like how Subaru and Toyota do the BRZ and the FRS.
Yeah.
I would like to point your attention on a fierce battle going on in the comments.
Fierce battle?
DW is saying, I'm determined to import the first S660 in Canada. And
they are so
you have
cool.
7 and people said, you'll have to beat me to it.
Okay.
Cool.
That's funny. And then maybe they both get one for the first month that they become available, but then it'll be a battle to see who gets the lowest production number.
Oh, that would be very interesting.
That would be fun, yeah.
Okay, so during this era, Toyota started making K cars, but of course they're just a badge engineered Daihatsu because Toyota and Daihatsu are the same. For the longest time, Daihatsu didn't really make full-size cars. They did a few here and there. They made some commercial vehicles and whatnot, but for the most part, they were the K car manufacturer for Toyota, is what they were fairly known for. Subaru also makes cars that are K cars, but they are, again, Daihatsus. That chair sounded like a big fart.
Yeah.
It was a big fart. It wasn't a chair.
It was a chair.
So if you want to do a big fart, you can just lean back when you do.
Max is ripping ass over there. So I'm sorry. The top maker is Daihatsu? No, you said Subaru,
Top
right?
is Suzuki. Second is Daihatsu. And then Mitsubishi and Nissan work together. And then they use Suzuki engines for theirs. So they also work together with Suzuki. Suzuki has long made the best engines for K cars, in my opinion. Okay, popular cars currently for... the most popular car currently... I thought I had this, but I don't. Okay, yes, it is the Honda N-Box, this first one that we're going to show.
So that's why I was... I wondered why Honda was only 3rd place on the list. Because... I feel like they're enormously popular, but
because Honda makes like 4 K cars and Suzuki makes like 10.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And also K trucks. The Carry is by far the most popular K truck, and that's, I think, the majority of the K cars that are sold.
Sure.
So there's a Honda N-Box, the most popular K car at the moment. Actually, no, the most popular K car during this era. And for like 7 of the years during this era, it was the most popular one.
Yeah.
Not for every year. Next one, Honda N-Wagon, which is another very popular one that you'll see frequently in Japan at the moment.
I love these.
It's the new one, right?
Yes, they look so sweet.
Very racy looking for a little toaster.
Especially the spoon tuned. Yes.
Yeah.
The Spoon and Wagon.
Yeah.
Just like the Step Wagon. They spelled wagon a little bit weirdly, right?
Yeah.
WGN.
I still want my mom to get one. Buy from us. Shipped to Germany.
Right after we said that you get in an accident and you die on one of these.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my main concern. Like, my mom really wants a Jimny or a... What is it? The Toyota Raze is not a K car, but anyway. And I am nervous because I don't want her to get crashed into in a Jimny. I get that they're made for overseas markets now, but...
Yeah.
You know, you can't trust other people. And then being in the US, a bit scary. So be careful out there.
In Japan... traffic deaths are really low despite these cars.
Yeah.
Because people are generally very well behaved on the road is one of them.
Yeah.
A lot of the roads don't allow you to drive at high speeds, and the roads are narrower, meaning that people are going to be a little bit more alert where they're going.
Yeah. Lower speeds in the cities too. Like, you spend a ton of your time in traffic, so...
Yeah, that's right. Even on the highways, you sometimes just stop and go. Yeah. Accidents are all teeny.
Yeah.
It's Japan's most expensive parking spot, the highway.
Suzuki Hustler is the next one. These are everywhere. This one's obviously been modified by the same company that we talked about several weeks ago. The one that makes the weird like G class, the
little G, little D.
Yeah.
The thumbnail picture.
The Hustler is quite iconic. A lot of people love them. You see them everywhere. They come in very appealing colors, like a bright pink or bright yellow or bright green.
Grant's favorite K car, I believe. Grant, is that correct? Okay, loves the Hustler, maybe not favorite.
Suzuki Kokoa.
Oh, please tell me the Daihatsu Naked is on the list.
I didn't. Do you want? Maybe we can type it in
funny.
and get a picture of Daihatsu Naked.
I just think Daihatsu is
it's a
big
funny
chops for saying we'll name our car the
I
Naked.
think it's a fairly cool looking K car too.
Yeah.
There we
Have
are.
you seen the ones that look like little Hummers?
Yeah, I was about to say, like, they look weirdly utilitarian. Like, it takes effort to put those little bulges where the hinges are, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, why?
But they use the same door for the front and rear door. Look,
Yeah.
that's how they save their money. They don't need two different presses. They can just use
Dumb.
the same door.
Okay, which
There
tab
we go.
was
Now
that
we've
on?
showed nakedness on the stream.
Okay,
Or
the next
show.
one is probably the most revered. This and the Copen are the most revered for sports car buyers, and the Alto Works, I guess. This is Honda's new version of the Beat. Obviously, it has styling cues from the Beat. S660 is a name that kind of pays tribute to the S600, S800, S2000.
It is so nice that they made this.
Yeah.
They could have just not make it.
Yeah, they're turbocharged now, which is pretty cool. Okay, next one, Suzuki Alto Works. Again, very, very popular, especially in the sporting community. This one here is the brand new one, so you're not really seeing too many of these ones yet. But the generation before, it looks similar, and you see a ton of them. And, of course, the Suzuki Jimny. The current version of the Suzuki Jimny looks like this, and they got the styling perfectly. We've now seen all the generations. Well, there are two generations that look very similar that I didn't show one of the two, but to most people, they'll look like the same one. So we've seen pretty much all of the generations of the Jimny. And this one's retro styled, but at the same time, not destroying the brand by retro styling it like they did with the Mustang. Like once you go retro, what do? I guess you go retro again, right? But this one absolutely has the spirit of the Jimny, but you can also continue making it because it's not too retro. The Jimny's always been retro, every generation of it.
I've just had a saddening realization that the new Jimny looks very G-Wagon.
But it's also teeny tiny. Like you see these on the road all the time, and you're not like you do when you see a G-Wagon.
No,
right?
I love it. But now that I can't unsee it, it's like the saggy couch on the 135. Now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's very G-Wagon. I don't know if it's this particular picture, but if you pull up a picture of one of those new G-Wagons, identical.
That's why the little G looks so similar.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
actually know if
the-
there's a 2025.
Like that angle, it's.
You know, I'd
we
like
need
to
one
see
with
a
more color.
G-Wagon.
Yeah, that.
G-Wagon versus Jimny. See if you can find a picture of both in the same picture.
Like what they did with the roof line and everything, and the door styling. It's almost like they were like, we need to make this look as much like a G-Wagon as possible.
Yeah, maybe.
Which is fair enough. Like the G-Wagon
that
is
picture
wildly.
so funny.
It is a damn G-Wagon. Oh no, it's a render. Is it?
No.
I don't think that's
Do
a
this
real
one
picture.
because Oh no, that's just 2G. No, oh that's
No.
it.
That's the
Liberty
Jimny.
Walk?
That's the G-Wagon, but the Jimny is up front.
Right.
No, it's actual. It's actual. That is so funny. There we are.
That's cool. And that is the story of the K cars.
Cool.
So we don't have anything else to talk about with K cars, and so unless you do.
No. I love the S662. I think it's awesome that so many other people love it as well. Don't quite know what it is about it. It's just very awesome. I'm sad.
I think maybe the Honda Today. Let's type that in. The JA4 Honda Today. Is that what it is? Grant, JA4. Yeah.
Live fact checking by Grant in the back.
This doesn't.
Not that one.
Looks wise, it's not my favorite K car, but it is my favorite K car. I like the looks of the older K cars a little bit better, but this one comes with the Honda Beat engine in it.
That looks great.
And has, from factory, individual throttle bodies. Ooh. They are teeny tiny throttle bodies, but they are individual throttle bodies, and it is one of the best performance cars from the K car era. And we had one for a bit, but then it was overheating, so in our experience, it wasn't the best. But it was incredibly fun to drive.
Quick question about fun racy K cars. The M-Trek Today or our Alto Works with the Monster Sport Turbo on it?
Okay, I don't know if you could hear that. We had an Alto Works with a 100 horsepower turbo kit on it. I
It
think
didn't feel like it had 100 on it. I didn't like that car. You guys loved it, but
we turned the power down for the race though,
yeah.
and it wasn't a race ready car.
No.
So okay, so we
And I
had
couldn't
both
fit
of
in
these
the
K
seat.
cars, and you'll see those on the Drives Japan channel
At some point. Soon.
In the near future.
No,
Is it
soon.
actually?
Really?
So we
Okay,
had an Alto Works as one race car for a few races, and we had a Honda Today for one race we did in it. And Grant wanted to know which one that I liked better, and I liked the Today better of the two. How about you?
I like the Today as well. I didn't like the Alto Works very much.
You also didn't like the Today very much either.
Well, I don't even know if I got to drive it much
You
at
did,
all.
but it was very slow because it was overheating. We said
Yeah.
only fourth gear.
Yeah.
It's allowed.
Yeah. But I couldn't fit in the Alto Works. The seat was
Really tight.
way too small, and I couldn't
Yeah.
like move my legs or something. Yeah. I don't fit in K cars very well.
And the suspension was soft because it was OEM suspension, and
Yeah.
it's got the teeny tiny little tires that we couldn't change because the wheel pattern is different between the RS version and the version that we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up having
I
an
don't
issue.
know.
It
was fun.
Yeah, it's
We
cool
do-
to experience.
Yeah.
But
We
no,
do have more K cars.
Honda
And
Today
two
is
of
my
the-
favorite.
The dealer picks. So let's go through those.
You want to call us in? I feel like I've talked too much in this time.
Yeah. Ready for that reverb? We got auction and dealer. Was that cool? Hope that was cool.
That was very cool. I was drinking. Otherwise, I would have said immediately that I was very cool. But I was drinking.
Cool.
Okay, here we are. Speed run, and then we do questions.
All right, speed run into the questions. So first up, whoa, is that one of the brand new ones? What is
This
that?
is one
28?
generation away from the
2016.
newest one.
Wow, what company makes this body kit?
I don't know.
It's kind of a little too much for me.
I
But,
had like 12 seconds to pick a car, so
Yeah.
I was just like K car, and then went through 3 sheets of K trucks,
If this is what happens with
and then
after,
found this one.
after 12 seconds, that's good. Impressive, Derek.
So manual transmission, and it doesn't really have a lot. It has aftermarket exhaust, aftermarket air filter, aero parts like the aero hood, and a rear spoiler.
Looks like a rally wing.
Yeah,
It's cool,
it's
right?
got big
It's
mud
really
flaps
sweet.
too,
Yeah.
which blend into the body.
I must say they sound cool too. It's
Yeah.
a three cylinder, but
3 cylinders can sound cool,
Yeah.
right?
cappuccino sounds sick.
Yeah, and the GR Yaris I think sounds pretty good.
Yes.
Well, these are only available to like what, European customers and then select countries around the
Yeah,
world.
I think they started these like 7 years ago. So yeah, to US you have to wait a very long time. That's the problem with K cars, because they're built to be cheap transportation. They don't last as long as other
Yeah,
cars.
for sure.
They aren't taken care of as well either.
People are requesting us to do a camping video.
A
I'll do a
camping, video,
Yeah.
in
we-
K cars.
Yeah.
Everyone
Really?
picks a car and has
Yep.
to sleep in it.
I'll pick a cappuccino.
I'm picking a Jimny.
You're,
Wait,
gonna
you're
sleep
picking
in
a
Jimny?
cappuccino?
I thought we both had the same reaction to that.
I was like, that's well, for me, it's impossible.
You would, best case scenario, you buy a K van and you put the seats down so that you have a sleeping
Yeah, but that's
area.
lame. They have to do like, well, we're gonna have challenges, right? We'll do challenges, and those challenges will be specifically
if the
catered
viewers
towards Jimnys.
choose that your car is lame, you have to do a penalty thing.
Yeah,
Camping with the motor combos. I was just picturing us in a cave and like hugging a motor combo while we lay down in bed.
and fiction.
Next car.
Yeah, next car.
Ciao.
Whoa,
This
I
is a
don't know what this
Daihatsu Mira TRXX, which I believe is the 4-wheel drive version. Again, this is the Mighty Car Mods drifting car.
They
Look at that
drifted this thing?
intercooler. They came to Japan and went drifting.
wow.
Yeah, this one's got a bunch of cool stuff. So this was one of the K cars to have back in the mid 80s. This one has an aftermarket turbo intercooler, which you saw in the picture is a teeny tiny little top mount intercooler. Very cool, custom made, of course. Aftermarket injectors. This was in the 550cc era. I'm not sure what power you would get out of this. If it's fully modified, you're probably looking somewhere in the 80s, maybe 90s.
Whoa, your Honda City, that back hatch looks almost identical.
Oh yeah, with the little cutout for the wiper.
Yeah.
This one's had wiper delete.
Which one was first?
Got dual exhaust.
So I think a lot of people's
Oh, shit.
first view into the K cars came in Gran Turismo 2. I don't know if Gran Turismo 1 had any K cars. I don't think it did. But Gran Turismo 2 was full of them. And some of your first races, you had to have K cars. It was like the K car cup.
The interior, very cool.
Oh, that seat, the passenger side seat?
Yeah, does it come with the
so
original
cool.
driver's seat? Because I feel like...
I doubt it.
Oh, dear.
After that long, original driver's seats are probably not available anymore.
How many gauges do you want to have?
Cool.
Answer? Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, including the fuel gauge and the temp gauge. Oh, the old school boost controllers.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this was built a long time ago.
Oh.
So how long has the half a liter engine been running on high boost?
That
Oh,
looks
I
cool.
really like the seats.
Oh, it got us
yeah.
answers.
Oh, yeah. Man,
But no subs. But because it's a small car, the regular size speakers look like subs.
Somebody must have had such a blast in this car. That's really cool.
I wonder what the thought process was. Hey, I want to upgrade my audio system. I need speakers. How about 6 of them right next to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
How much do they want for it?
Too much.
They want a lot for it. This guy is dreaming at that price. You get this at auction for probably 700,000 yen, and they want 2.7 million.
Yeah. Well, it was
So-
very low mileage, 32,000 kilometers.
But it's also the era of K cars when they only had 5-digit odometers.
That was going to be my next question. So never mind.
Probably 132,000.
Yeah.
And the modifications,
Cool.
because they're that old,
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust them to be good for that much longer.
Period correct modification.
That seller is joking. That's how he gets his jollies,
by
buying
making
cars
jokes.
and then selling them for
Yeah.
3 times what they're worth.
I guess that's why. It's
I
still
think
up
that
on
dealer
auction,
should
right?
list it for 1.35. I think that would be a reasonable price for this. I have no doubt in my mind that nobody's going to buy it at that price.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money.
Yeah.
We'll see it back at auction.
Okay. Who wants questions and answers from Derek and Mike and maybe Max?
And maybe Grant.
Maybe
We'll
not.
only hear from Grant if we get something wrong.
Right.
Okay.
If we lie, Grant will fact check us.
We got 2 questions from the last show.
Then I
So
hope we've got
while
them.
we're answering those questions, put your questions into the chat. If you've made it this far in the video, it means you probably like us. And so ask us questions. If we don't have enough questions, I'll be sad.
Last chance, questions in the chat if you want answers from the show.
Fatron was asking.
Fat Ron,
No.
like from Harry Potter.
PHATRO.
P-H-A-T.
Cool, Ron.
I have a
name.
random question for you longtime Japanese residents. My family is planning a week-long trip to Japan. Where should be the best places to visit with 2 kids under 10, in your opinion? And places to avoid.
Right now there are more tourists in Japan than there have ever been. In March there were 3-point-something million people came in.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the tourist places are going to be overrun by people, which if you've got young children can be stressful. The children are going to get tired on their trips, and if there are a lot of people around or you're taking transit, then that can be extra challenging. Prepare good shoes when you come to Japan, or multiple pairs of shoes. It's something a lot of people don't think about, but you end up walking a lot while you're here. If you can do it, I think the best thing to do is rent a car, maybe a K car, and get out to the places that tourists don't usually go. You can probably find some places that aren't populated too much, but are still known to the English world by typing in less common tourist locations by car or something like that. Car is the big one. Most people aren't renting cars when they come here. They're getting the Shinkansen train pass, and they're going to the Kyoto, Hiroshima, Tokyo, like hitting the main spots, and then those places are going to be full.
I will say though that driving in Japan is difficult. My first time here, we rented a car and it kind of sucked. Like we wanted to do a day of driving. We rented a R34 and RX-7, and navigating the highways was sucky.
or
super sucky.
an interesting cultural experience?
No, it was super sucky and very expensive because the Navi, we were using Google Maps, and at that time, it's a lot better now, but at that time it was like, get off the highway, do a circle, and get back on the highway. And we did that 4 times, and every time you get off the highway, you have to pay. And this is in the middle of Tokyo,
and it's
when we were like...
expensive. It's $20 to get on or something.
Yeah. We ended up, we wanted to go to the Hakone Turnpike. We didn't make it that far. We got to Hakone and then did some driving around Hakone and then had to go back because we underestimated how much traffic was in Japan. So I do think it could be a good idea, but it needs a lot of research.
I would think like Hakone Turnpike is a good example because that's such a beautiful place and it's outside of the major cities, so it's going to be interesting in that regard. I think that Enoshima Island it does have a lot of tourists there, but not as much as some of the other areas, and it's very beautiful, and the path that you follow all around the island is fantastic. I love it. Mount Takao is a very easy hiking mountain. Very easy.
Busy,
it's paved. It's busy with Japanese people. It's not so busy with tourists.
He's also only got a week, or their family has a week. That's not a lot of time. And
in a week, you're going to want to hit the things that you would be embarrassed not to see.
Yeah.
But if you go to Mount Takao, can you see Fuji from there? They're in the same area.
You can, yeah.
So maybe you can do the two in the same time.
You need to walk all the way up though.
So
it's quite the hike.
And with young children.
Yeah.
There can be queues on Takao too on popular
Takao
days
you can do
well.
with strollers.
Yeah. Oh, true.
Paved.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, but I imagine like kids playlands are kind of fun.
Oh yeah, Japan does those really well.
Yeah.
I think you can't. If you come to Japan, you have to go to Kyoto. I love Kyoto.
I've never been.
You need to go to Kyoto. You were in Japan.
I think if I went during the COVID lockdown, I probably would have enjoyed it. I can't stand crowds, and that's why I've never been interested in going.
Yeah.
Like so many people stresses me out at a rate of twice the speed of regular.
There are a lot of tourists now, and that takes away from some of the magic that a lot of people are looking for, which is the authentic Japanese experience. But now it's everyone enjoying the authentic Japanese experience, which is no longer the authentic Japanese experience. So, like, there's been stories of geishas getting hassled in Kyoto and people doing...
some areas have been shut down for tourists.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about Kyoto is there's this one street where everyone is. And then you just walk around the corner and there's no one.
Really?
Actually, that's true
insane.
with many of the places. Like Asakusa as well. That main drag in Asakusa is like shoulder to shoulder, completely packed. You go a couple of roads over and there's just no one.
Completely empty.
Yeah. So maybe that's the best, not the best advice.
I really like Atami. Atami is it's the
seaside city, right?
Right. For like emperors hundreds of years ago, it was the vacation destination for them for going to onsens and things like that. And it's on the side of a very steep mountain, but it's got a ton of really interesting older shops. It's very cool if you can hit up like a night festivals.
Oh.
They do really great ones there with like carrying the pagodas with the lit up characters on them and stuff. Yeah. It's intensely cool. And they do fireworks every week there. So if you're
every
here for
week
a week
in summer or just
every week for half the year. And then outside of that every month they do it. And it's always excellent because it's right on the water and it's like cove and it's beautiful. It's a little bit less cool than it used to be in the 80s and 90s because it's been economically depressed a little bit. But very cool to go there.
We didn't give many suggestions. I would say you ask for places to avoid Shinjuku. Shinjuku is not a place you need to go, I think. I can't think of one thing in Shinjuku that you would be
the Shinjuku crossing
sad to not see. No, Shibuya. Shibuya's worth it, but lots of people, and if you're coming to Japan, just see the crossing. It's fine, you know?
I would have said skip Shibuya.
I like Shibuya. Lots of good places to eat and some free buildings to go up, like the Hikari building. You can get a decent way up.
That's true.
Some of those big buildings are fun. Actually, the Shibuya Sky Tower. That's cool now.
Right.
You can see Fuji on at sunset if you get a clear day. Maybe not.
Which you only will in the winter.
Yeah. That's a hard question to answer. You got three very
Especially
different
since
opinions.
we've been living here for a long time, so it's hard to tell what tourists would appreciate.
Yeah.
coming from a tourist's point of view.
Okay. Phil Slayer. Oh, Phil Sayer. That's a lot different.
Have we ever seen a 1980s Mazda 929 come at auction?
Is that what it looks like?
I think it is. Wait, I'll show it.
That looks 70s.
Oh, cool too. I like this old design.
I love the era where
Or is it
Japanese
this?
cars try to be muscle cars,
Yeah.
but they're just small, so
Yeah.
they're proportioned like them, but they're
But
teeny.
cute. They're muscular, but cute.
Are customers interested in this?
Hmm?
Are many customers interested in this?
No,
I don't
Not
think
a
we've
single
been
customer is
asked about
interested in
that
it.
before. How common are they at auction? I honestly don't
I don't know what the 929 is. That's an era of Mazda that I don't know too well because they always had different names in and outside of Japan, and they were
Right.
all number names that all sound the same to me.
Yeah.
Okay. No answer.
Well, if you're
No
interested
answer.
in one of these, you'll have to email us, and we'll have to look into that for you, and we can see the history and how many have been at auction.
We'll sick you on Grant.
5.
Grant said there have been 5 in the last 3 months.
They're all sold for like.
Oh. Grant said they're all in very terrible condition and sold for very cheap, but he couldn't recommend buying any of the ones that he's seen either. So perhaps if you're buying something like this, you are getting yourself into a restoration project. If they weren't that, were they popular? If they weren't that popular, hard to not many people would keep them in good shape. So that can be a tough car to buy in that case.
Yeah, that's playing expert mode.
Yeah.
Got more questions?
chat questions.
All right, chat questions.
My favorite.
I do. I like it because the people are watching.
And
We should answer.
we don't have any time to preempt our answers.
No.
So you know this is straight from the top of the dome.
Yeah. Straight from the top of my dome.
Kyle
That's
was
awesome.
asking, are the turbo Vamos available in manual?
Vamos? Honda Vamos?
Yes,
They're the vans. Yeah.
I believe they
guess
are.
so.
But also, you can go to Google and you could type that in. That's what I would do
Yeah,
if a
it's cool that
customer
ask
asked
us,
that.
though,
I don't
'cause
want to
we're
be
in
wrong, so
Japan.
I'll just.
Don't trust AI. Trust the men on the ground in Japan who may not always have the
I
right
believe
answers.
because they have like commercial underpinnings, there are people who want them in manual because commercial owners prefer manuals.
Cool.
Okay, next question is one that you can't Google. Gregor asked, what is the weirdest thing you have ever found in a car?
Okay, hang on. Before we go any further, I just need to mention to everyone who is currently watching, because everyone, I think, seems to know each other. Greg O is now a very awesome and cool individual. He's part of
Only
an
now.
exclusive... Well, he was cool before, but now he's awesome and cool, and he's in a very exclusive club
I don't know where you're going with this.
of gentlemen with impeccable taste. Ringing any bells? Greg O, as of yesterday?
What did he buy?
Greg won a car. Maybe
Oh,
he'll tell
okay, I know.
everyone what
I
he
know now.
won. But Greg, you're very cool. Very cool. All right, what was the question? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
What was the weirdest thing that we've ever found in a car?
I've found adult magazines a few times.
Derek specifically looks for adult magazines. They
Most of
never-
the time, I don't find them. I've only found them twice, and they were both in Land Cruisers.
Oh yeah, there was that one.
There was one Land Cruiser that we bought,
Yeah.
and the entire back end was stuffed full of adult magazines. We're talking hundreds of them.
Well, they probably couldn't throw them out and have their wife realize. So like, I'll send this to auction and just whoops.
I wonder what the auction thought when they got the car, because once we sold the car, and the auction was like, "There's too much garbage in the back. You're gonna have to take that out." And so we had to go to the auction and put in a plastic bag all of the garbage and stuff.
But that was apparently a sales point. Retro
We should do that.
magazines.
We should say we should sell a car and then be like full of adult magazines as a sales point
Yeah,
and see what the auction does.
that'd be fun.
Unless people take them out when they watch the car and then
Yeah.
you get claimed because there's no
There.
magazines in it.
What else is weirder than that? We've had like children's soft toys or like people's window decorations there. But
I got
the adult
a
magazines-
See from the
Oh yeah, somebody. We found somebody's police fine, like that they had paid for speeding or something, doing something bad. Yeah. Whoops. That's
$300?
$300 receipt. Yeah, for
$200?
being naughty.
I got a stuffed 8.6 toy that was handmade, just like an
Oh.
Initial D. If you know the story of Initial
Oh,
D,
yeah.
the girl hand sews a little a little Christmas ornament for him one time or something.
Oh,
so I
cute.
found one that had been handmade, obviously by somebody's girlfriend, to him as like a gesture of like,
Wow.
or maybe someone handmade their own one, but I suspect it was like he watched it with
Yeah.
her and she's like, let's do this because it
Yeah.
totally sounds like something
Cute.
that would have happened in
I
my
think
mind at least.
There's one report on YouTube where you found like a baby diaper in a Civic or something. Not used though,
Oh.
but it was weird. In the rear, like rest.
The little
Okay.
the armrest that folds
Yeah,
down
yeah.
inside there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a strong stomach. I cannot handle used baby diapers. I will hurl.
Good to know.
Yeah, 100%. That's the one thing that makes
So
me
for
gag
anyone who
just
is
on the
watching,
smell.
who has been wanting to marry this guy, now you have more information about that.
Let's do a
Maybe
next
it's different
question
if
about
it's your
this
old
guy.
child. Own child.
Dark Corsair asked, "Are we going to be able to guess on Mike's car?"
Oh, feel free to
I can guess.
No, you can't
Want me to
guess.
guess?
Well, it's not a guess if you know the answer, right?
I know, but I could guess wrong and set people off on a rabbit hole down the wrong way.
All right, Derek's about to give you some great hints.
If it was an RX-8, then the engine wouldn't be running anymore, right?
Yeah.
You haven't received your car back from Shucken yet, have you?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yours is fully
Oh,
registered.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mine's not.
Yeah, well,
Still
yours
waiting on the exhaust to
needs
come
an
in.
Exhaust, yeah.
For the 1970s car that I
Yeah.
bought.
Yeah, feel free to guess if you like. That's it.
Can I give a hint?
Sure.
It is probably the loudest car we ever had.
That's not much of a hint, though.
It is
It
absolutely.
could literally be
It is.
anything.
Yeah, but it's a fun hint that doesn't give away too much.
Loudest car we've ever had.
I guess if we say that the car has been straight piped, there are certain cars nobody straight pipes, so those ones are out the window.
Yeah, okay.
But I think everyone kind of knew that Mike was going for a sports car anyway.
It's not. It's not completely straight piped anyway. It's just mostly straight piped. There's a difference. Okay.
It is still a terrible sounding car.
No, it's a fantastic sounding car.
Hey,
Here's your hint
Greg
for today.
O 9198 has a guess. Did you read that?
I did. I like the Dark Corsair's guess for Subaru
Subaru
Justy
Justy
because
for
I
Mike.
don't actually know what that looks like.
Straight pipe Subaru Justy.
Oh yeah.
I think the Justy was Subaru's first non-K car.
Oh,
I think so.
We got a lot more questions, Joey.
hit us.
Okay.
Delbert was asking, "How's the family, Derek? Do you still do box openings?"
Box? What's a
I
box?
love
I
how
don't
that.
know what a box opening.
You had a video and you opened a box. I think it was the churro cues, and that was I remember
remember
watching
that
that video too.
Yeah, I mean, if people send us boxes, of course we'll open them.
Send us boxes.
Or if we purchase boxes of things, we
You
can
can
open
find
them.
our address on Google.
I think it would be funny if somebody sent us a box and then had like instructions inside the box of who gets what thing, and then did something funny like get great things for one person and then sucky things for somebody else.
Yeah, maybe.
Next question from Dark Horse again. What is the best car museum that you guys can recommend?
I haven't been.
I tried to go. My parents were here in Japan at the end of last year, and we tried to go to the Toyota Museum, I think, and it was closed on the day we went to. And I was looking forward to it. It's in Nagoya, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I was so sad
I have
that I
been
didn't
to
get
that
go.
one. It was very good.
I want to go back.
I've been to
Go
the
there.
Master Museum in Hiroshima. That was really good because you start at the entrance thing and then they take a bus ride through the whole plant, which is enormous.
Whoa.
And then you go to the little museum that they recently rebuilt, and then it's adjacent to the assembly line. So you go from the museum through a door, and then you're at the assembly line,
Whoa.
watching the cars
wow.
being built. So it was
That's
pretty
cool.
good.
We should do a video series where we go to all of the museums because I want to go to the Honda Museum too. That's nearby. I think it's
And the Omori factory from Nismo is also
Mhm.
nearby. It's small, but you can
Very
see the
small.
actual people that work at Nismo that tune the cars,
Yeah.
tuning the cars. They have a window there.
I heard that the Nissan Engine Museum.
Is also
pretty good.
nearby. I've heard
Yeah.
it's good too, but they never get Westerners, so they're not prepared for Westerners. So if you go there, they're going to be like, I don't know what to do.
Look at the stuff.
Right.
Go away.
That's what one of our customers said to us.
Richard
Okay.
is asking, who's doing Mike's hair?
Who's doing my hair?
We had a conversation yesterday, and we want Mike to get a mohawk and like a long one and gel it up.
Okay, yeah, I'm thinking of doing like the cyberpunk mohawk style, so very very short sides, and then like electric purple, or blue, or green, or orange, or something.
So now that you've said it, we have to do it. That's how we
Yeah.
got stickers.
Okay.
And that's how
So
we
next
also,
week,
the one day you were like, we're doing a giveaway. And then we did the
fun.
giveaway. So now that you've said that
Yeah.
about the hair, you're going to have cyberpunk hair.
Okay.
Do you think you can do it for the next show?
I don't know where I looked. I tried to look for like 5 minutes the other day where I could find a
I can
hairdresser
do
that
it.
does it, but not
On stream.
No, thank you. No, that's fine.
We want viewers, don't we? We got to do stupid things.
You want hair in the office?
No.
Derek, do you miss poutine? Was there any good poutine places in Japan?
I've had some poutine here. It's not the same. They usually just use cheese instead of cheese curd.
Oh, I didn't know cheese curd was in poutine.
It's when they make cheese, the top of the cheese is like a different consistency. So they usually scrape that off and then sell the cheese. And then that traditionally would be a byproduct and it's just tossed out or is sub-processed into something else. But a long time ago, this is where poutine came from, is the curd was then put onto the French fries.
Oh.
And then, in
Poutine.
Quebec. I don't go seeking out poutine, but whenever we go to Canada, my daughter's like, let's get poutine, because, it's an authentic Canadian experience. I like it. I don't really have a lot of reason to seek it out here. There are some places that have it, but they're usually pretty far away. They're like hamburger specialty places that are very expensive, $20 per hamburger kind of places.
EF7 and People1 was saying travel to the Honda Museum on the motor combos.
Oh.
I feel like I'd be
Well.
embarrassed to show them the condition of our motor combos.
I think they would just be so glad to see them out and running.
Do you think that they would let us drive them through the museum?
No, but we could ask. And that might be funny. Or we could just do it anyway. Guys, just smash. Where is the Honda Museum? I thought it was quite close. I want to say that it's like Nagoya or Gunma or something.
There should be a Subaru museum somewhere around, because Subaru is based out of Gunma.
Fuji area. No?
Based out of Gunma. Nissan's based out of Yokohama. Toyota's based out of Nagoya, or technically Toyota City
Right.
in Nagoya.
Yeah.
Mazda, where's Mazda from?
Hiroshima.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's it.
There was somebody asking if I ski.
Oh.
I saw that question.
Then answer that question.
Derek, do you ski?
If there's a Motocompo museum, I would love that. I grew up skiing, but I didn't ski an awful lot because skiing is expensive, and if you do not have a lot of money, then you cannot go skiing as much as you'd like to. So I always had used gear, and then we would go up on like a cheap night, or it'd be a treat for like once or twice a year or something like that. They have ski programs in Canada where you can ski with a school and it's partially subsidized, so we would do that. I very much enjoy skiing. Japan has a lot of ski hills. The Japanese ski hills, once you've tasted the Canadian ski hills, are not the same. It's very much not the same level.
We need to go to Hokkaido.
We went to Hokkaido.
We got half a
We went to
quarter of a
Niseko.
day. Yeah.
Still, like
We didn't
the
get powder
Niseko
either.
mountain, they have like 5 mountains, right? All kind of side by side. All 5 of, and this is the best one in.
I wouldn't
In
say
Japan.
best. It's most popular.
It still has about half the terrain as
For sure. Much smaller. Yeah.
as any of the top 30% of the mountains in Canada.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll go to Rizutsu next.
Anyways,
and
I
we'll get a
was
powder
shocked.
day.
They have ski mountains here. I'm not joking. That have 2 runs.
Yeah.
They have like a little chairlift with 2 chairs,
It was also like
two
30 bucks.
seats. Yeah,
Right.
and then you have like 1 or 2 runs that
Yeah.
come down.
Yeah. And if
Because in
you-
the 80s it became very popular to ski here, but then they made all these ski hills all of a sudden, and then they just kind of barely holding on.
Yeah.
And so it is kind of weird. And yeah, I was so surprised. I went to Nagano and I went to the same mountain that they did the Olympics in, and I was like, oh my god, there's like 21 runs here.
Yeah.
Where
yeah, the
like,
scale is completely different,
and
right?
and old and run down because there's not enough
Yeah.
money to keep them going.
Yeah.
And so they still had like signs up from the Olympics and stuff that were so rough, like, and the entry boot, like that boost that you start the race from, they were all broken down.
Yeah. Max is giving us a time warning.
Again. By the way, Zaid, the regular time for the show is now 1.5 hours. So in fact, we're only 12 minutes over
Yeah.
time. But
Yeah,
I feel like it's time to.
Yeah, I think it really is.
we should. We did start a little bit late, so this is our sorry and thank you for sticking around.
Yeah, okay, I think that we're done. So why don't we wrap it up? We will
Yes.
have another show for you exactly 7 days minus 1 hour and 12 minutes from now.
Cool. And a video going up on the Drives Japan channel.
Oh yeah.
Either this evening, Japan time, or
Make a
tomorrow.
claim now, and then you have to stick to it.
I tried that yesterday. It didn't work.
Okay. Don't do that.
He was stressing out an hour before closing time. He's like, I want to get this up today. And I'm like, no, leave it the time that it requires, and no one's going to be mad if the video comes up a day later.
Yeah, it's the lowest video date. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there's
Thank
any
you, Dan.
consolation, it's that we don't release things if we're not sure
That's
that
putting
they're
a
as
lot of
good as
pressure.
we can make them. As good as we can make them.
Okay.
We
you
get
saved
better
that
each
one.
time, but yes. So thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your company. If you have gone on a walk, I'm glad you got exercise. I hope your twins or children or puppies are walked and well cared for. And I hope you've done your dishes.
Sorry.
And we got reverb on the dishes. Hope the laundry's done. Everything. Just have a good day. Thank you for being here.
Now you guys are K-Car masters.
K-Car Maestros.
Yeah, that is true.
We'll see you next week.
You gotta get the outro music.
We have our outro music now?
Bye. Oh, outro music.
I don't know what it means.
Wait, it's right now?
And now it's done.
Oh.
That was
That was it.
improvised. See you
Take it
next
easy, everyone.
week.
Bye-bye.